I am so hyped today. I have been watching this man do some of the most hilarious, funniest, brightest, intentional comedy that I have seen in a long time. It's incredibly refreshing, and as a person that did stand up and loves comedy, and comedy for me is what got me through trauma, right? So I went through a whole bunch of trauma as a child. We could get into that if we need to. So I had humor before I had Jesus. It's my first one. It was actually my first coping mechanism. And to see what you've brought to this space has been absolutely amazing. So, ladies and gentlemen, our guest down in the basement today is none other than, I'm just gonna call him the name that is out there, and then but you must give me your full name because I want to be able to pronounce this.
Boy. Do we have enough time?
We do have enough time. Okay. It's a very royal name. I mean, this name was not snatched from colonial America. Shama,
yes, sir,
is in the building, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go! Yo, if y'all haven't seen him on Instagram, on TikTok, I don't know where you've been. Your head's been in the sand, and so I want to get into the origin story. I want to get into how you came to be who you are, because I think it is going to be inspirational and informative and encouraging for some people that are trying to come up behind you and catch you and maybe even pass you.
They better hurry up.
Yeah.
They better first of all build a time machine to 2012
and work your way forward.
Yeah. Make bad YouTube videos.
Bro, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks so much for having me, man.
No, man, it means a lot. I took a shot in the dark.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I sent a DM on Instagram and just prayed that you didn't think I was a creep. And you were so polite.
You say that like your videos get 2 views online. I knew who you were, man. I knew who you are.
Well,
yeah, but I know.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Online is so weird.
Yeah,
dude.
it can be so weird, and I can't assume that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like 330 million people in this country alone.
Right.
So like you can, like, there's people with, 2 million followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
I've never heard of them.
Right.
You know what I mean? They got like
it's wild,
which is it's crazy.
Yeah.
That 2 million people can know you.
Right.
And 328 million people don't.
What?
Like,
what?
Who? Who is this guy? So
he's a carpenter, dude. He's not. He's just like he builds chairs on Instagram.
Right, exactly.
Like 2 million people watch this man turn a log into a chair.
It's the epoxy for me.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
Yeah.
So thank you. I just thank you
Thanks
for
for
saying
having
yes and
y'all been crushing it, man. I came in here and I got the whole team watching all the clips, man. Your clip on Christian content. Man, so many people sent that to me, and I'm like, this is what I've been saying. I sounded like an aluminum foil hat wearing dude. I'm like, it's been bad. I was screaming outside the building for forever until that went viral, and I'm like, thank God.
Oh my God.
Somebody else is also, All
right. So I want to get there, but I am into origin stories, bro.
Yeah.
Like the origin stories, like inspire me. They give me context, and so. Like, bro, tell me about you, like where you come from, like your upbringing. Give us some context to you. Yeah, please.
So my name is Shama, but my full name is Eli Shama Kundail Mrema.
Do you see what I'm talking about? And that is a name, man.
I gotta go on the record here.
I'm over here with Ross. All this beautiful brown skin, and I got
you a come into America name,
Ross. Well, I know I'm Nigerian from my father's side,
okay,
and Ghanaian from my mother's side.
And they didn't. How'd they land with Ross?
Well, the Scottish man,
okay,
married like my great grandmother like 5 times.
Okay,
she's from the tribe of Yoruba.
Yeah,
Yoruba, and this white man, Tom Ross, married her.
Wow.
Like he was already married to a white woman and had 2 children with her. And then he married the African woman and had 5 children with her, and that's where we all came from.
Wow.
So like it was dope because it's like, oh man, he clearly didn't care about racism in 1850.
Yeah.
Also, he's a womanizer. So, you know, he broke one curse, started another. You know what I'm saying? You can't get it all right all the time.
You can't win them all.
Yeah, you can't win them all. Yeah. So, you know.
I like that you know where you're from, though. I think that's like,
it's important.
Africa, it's really important.
It's very important, man.
I was born there. When I turned 2 years old, my family moved to the States.
Born there?
In Tanzania.
Tanzania. Okay, awesome.
Born there, moved to the States with my older brother, my parents, and myself, and then my sister was born a year later. And we moved. My parents just moved to Alabama from Tanzania, East Africa. They're like, we're moving to Birmingham, Alabama, and so we moved here. And
that's where my mother was born.
Really, dude. I think it's crazy. Of all places, people always ask me like, why would you? And I was like, well, immigration laws were a little easier if you moved to the States to be in Alabama.
Wow.
And that's how we ended
Fascinating.
up there.
Yeah.
And we were part of a great church there. And the pastor moved to South Carolina, and we followed him. He was like, "You should move to South Carolina."
Wow.
And we moved to South Carolina. Then we became missionaries. My family became missionaries, and we moved back to Tanzania to do mission work.
Wow.
When I was 11 years old. And so,
how long were you there?
I was there from 11 to 18, and I graduated. I was homeschooled while I was there.
Yeah.
And then I moved back to the States for college. So it was really cool because I was practically like South Carolina, man. I was wearing overalls. I was wearing camo. I was hunting with my buddies. And then all of a sudden, my life like shifts to we're in East Africa, right? And my parents are planning a church, and it's basically just kind of dropped in the middle of it all.
Wow.
And I was homeschooled, but my parents were like, you need to learn the language. You got to go out there. You got to make friends. We're also building a church. You're also running sound. Hey, you're also the drummer.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And so it was just a crash course in can you just uproot a family? I mean, we moved. My parents uprooted their lives to be here, and so then they kind of uprooted our lives to be there, and we loved it, man. And that was awesome. That's where I picked up a camera with my brother, and then we started just filming sketches or music videos, and we had some success there. We worked with a Christian rapper in Tanzania, and shot some music videos for him, and somehow they ended up on like some Christian TV stations.
What?
And they would be shown there. And I moved back to the States for college when I was 18.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
You got to take me slower. I need some.
It's a lot, man. I'm trying to like,
No. And dude, this could be a 3-hour pod. We have gone 3 hours. So
let's do it. I wore my glasses.
Well, I'll know it's time to stop when they start fogging up. If they start fogging up, I'm gonna let you go. But I'm very okay. So you get here at 2, and from 2 to 11, you are in Birmingham, Alabama.
Yeah.
Birmingham, Alabama, and
in South Carolina.
South Carolina, okay. Is please forgive my ignorance. What would the tongue of
Swahili?
Okay. Yeah, I did not want to assume that. So was Swahili spoken in the home?
It was spoken a lot in the home. Yeah, my parents spoke Swahili a lot, and there was this. You're actually in some really good. We're in really good territory right now because I've talked to a lot of Africans whose parents moved to the States in the early 90s. And so I turned 30 this year. I was part of this experiment of let's uproot our lives and move to the States. Wow. And so now we're about the same age, my generation of early 90s people who immigrated here, about the same age of our parents when they moved here. And so, there is this blending of culture where our parents were you're very African at home.
Yep.
But then I'm going to elementary school.
Yeah.
And people are talking, dude, I thought a PlayStation was like a room. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Because I was like, I didn't have.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
I was playing on PlayStation. I was like, a whole station?
I'm weak.
You had a whole station.
There's a gas station and a PlayStation.
We got freaking puzzles. You know what I'm saying? So there was this whole thing of like, my parents were my parents wouldn't let us watch Disney movies because they heard that Disney was of the devil.
Amen.
And so I remember my brother brought home The Lion King on VHS, and my dad was like, "No, we are not watching that here." And then we were like, this is practically a documentary. We gotta watch this, man. And he wouldn't let us. And so the way I've tried to explain it, and my wife and I were talking about this, and I kind of found it was, my parents were also learning this culture, right? American culture, manners and etiquette, and they're also learning the language.
Yeah.
And so what they're imparting on us is what they think the culture is to them, or what they've seen. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so it was it's just like a weird blend of we're guests here, and we need to be on our best behavior and don't embarrass us, but also learn, I guess, and then go. And you remember you're African, but then I'm going to a school where I'm one of like 2 black kids, and the other one's my brother. Right. You know what I mean? And so we're also like, what are and people want to touch our hair, and they're asking us where we're from, and we don't speak the language because we're like, we moved, dude. I sound like you. I sound like you.
Right.
You know what I mean? As far as I know, I've been here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so yeah, it was like a very interesting experiment. And for a long time, I remember thinking like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
I remember thinking like, it would be easier if I was just white.
Wow. Wow.
Just like, I don't, I'm having to explain, what do you eat at home? I'm bringing rice and beans to school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
In a Tupperware bowl.
Yeah. You don't want to be the kid who has to ask for a microwave at lunch, dude. You don't want to be the kid. I need a microwave to microwave my rice and beans and this one chicken thigh. Dude, somebody's gonna comment and be like, "Yeah, I remember I was that kid."
No,
you know
this is a beautiful
you know what I'm saying,
space.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah.
This is a beautiful space because first gen and second gen immigrants are in this quandary, right? I've seen this happen in the Latino community, where there is a like for every church that wants to start a Spanish service, right? It's like, thanks, but no thanks, right? You know what I'm saying? Like it's the grandparents will go, but like the 30-year-old who's like second gen, third gen is going, I'm bilingual.
Right.
I know Spanish and I know English, and I'd rather be at the English service, because your Spanish service sucks.
And you're also trying to be a part of a culture. And gloria a Dios for all of our Spanish speakers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gloria a Dios times 15,000 for all of our Spanish speakers. Do you know what I mean? But you're also, like myself, my wife and I, we have kids. So we relate to people who are in a similar stage of life. That we're in. And so sometimes somebody will ask me, like, where are you from? If I'm in a coffee shop or on a plane or something. And I'll be like, man, if I got time, I'll.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's too nuanced and layered.
Dude, I'm from South Carolina.
Right.
I got a wife. We got kids. I work in video production.
Right.
But yeah. I've heard the term called a perpetual foreigner, because for me, obviously my name is Elishama Mrema, I go to school. I went to school in Florence, South Carolina, and people are like, "Well, you're not really American." And then I moved to Tanzania. All of my cousins, I go to the first party we land. All of my cousins we look alike, and they're coming up to me. And they're like, "Oh, yeah, mambo vipi karibu Tanzania," and I'm like, "Nah, dude, I'm from South Carolina." I know I look like you, dude, but I'm not. We have the same last name, but. Brother, I got my overalls packed right now in my, and so they're like, well, you're not African, and so I'm like, wait a second, what am I? What am I? And so there's this, my Swahili, my English was so, and then my Swahili was so,
right?
So you're like, where do I belong?
Wow, I need to let that marinate for a minute.
Perpetual foreigner. I thought, oh yeah, that's like the perfect term for that.
Dang.
And my dad, my dad would always remind us. My dad, he passed away several years ago.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
He had this really just insightful wisdom into the whole thing. He would always tell us, he tells us, home is Tanzania, and even growing up here, we're going to go back and we're going to go plant a church in Tanzania. And so we always knew that in the back of our heads. And he would always tell us, hey, we're citizens of the kingdom of heaven, which is kind of corny to say. And I've talked to parents, like my wife is white, very white, and from Missouri. And so we've met with other like interracial couples too. And the husband or the wife is from East Africa, and they're like, how are you going to raise your kids, right? Because now we're launching this new group project, right, for our kids.
Yeah,
so we're like,
sure.
One of my parents is white and from America, and my other parents from East Africa.
Yep.
We're kind of pushing them into this, into this experiment.
Yeah.
And they're like, how are you going to raise your kids? And I'm like, I don't have a bunch of American or Tanzanian flags in any house that I grew up in. Right? Like we just, America's somewhere that I lived for a little bit, and then Tanzania was somewhere that I lived for a little bit.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I've just adapted this mentality of.
Well, it makes you a much richer person. Like I feel like outside of cross-pollination, the only thing you can end up is bitter. Now I think I have some support for this. If we lost bees, we lose all fruit and we lose all vegetables.
Yeah.
If we lose bees.
Right.
like I want you to think of how fragile the produce industry is and the fruit industry is off that one statement. Not if we lose trees, right?
Yeah.
If we lose bees,
is it.
We're not gonna have a tasty apple anymore.
Yeah.
Right? Like we're not gonna have we're not gonna have lettuce.
It's one of those things that like we know that, we understand that, but then you hear. I remember watching this documentary on Netflix about bees.
Yeah.
And like there was a few years ago, a lot of people's bees like they died.
Yes.
Right. And so
a whole industry was about to be compromised.
Like, and they were like, hey, if a farmer lost 10,000 heads of cattle, everybody would be up in arms. Like, first of all, you would smell it,
right?
And then everybody would know it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but like, if I say, "Oh, my bees died," nobody cares. And some remember thinking, like, "Oh yeah, I don't. If I see a bee, it's in the way."
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
I don't think about it as adding value.
Right. Exactly.
To my life.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So there's this cross pollination that needs to happen, and that's what actually makes fruit sweet. Is not the fact that this apple tree's been homogenized with other apple trees and have never been exposed to anything else. It's actually because the pollen from, this flower came over to this apple tree, and then the pollen from this apple tree went over to, I don't know it like I should. I'm just going off of the bits of I've heard, but you get the point. I'm from Inglewood, California. I'll never forget the landscape, the topography of LA. You could, if enough wind blew and it pushed the smog out of the way, there's a certain time of year, Shama, where you can see the most beautiful snow-capped mountains you've ever seen in your life. And in less than 3 hours, you can be up there.
Wow.
Skiing. Okay? There's a certain time of the year where you could ski in the morning and then be on Venice Beach that afternoon.
Wow.
And they would both feel right as rain. Now, I had friends that I grew up with in the hood who have never been to the snow and complain about it. Like, I ain't never been in no snow. I'm like, it's right there.
Wow.
Like, we're not even telling you to go to Colorado. It's right there. Oh, fool, I ain't going up there.
you don't even got to put pants. You can wear shorts.
Yes.
Wear your slides.
You don't even.
Up,
yes. You don't even get
step out.
Yeah.
Close the door. Drive back down.
Yeah. But it's just like, I ain't never been to, like almost like a badge of honor that I haven't been exposed to anything else. But this is why you look like this and sound like this. Because you
never had soft snow hit your body.
Yes.
While you're looking up. And you never experienced that.
Soft snow hitting a thug would change him. That's probably why he don't want to go up there. Hey, fool, ain't nothing soft hitting me.
Yeah, no.
Ain't nothing soft about me, fool. But literally, like I think I'm born and raised in Inglewood. I have been to Canada, Latin America, the Caribbean, England, Sweden, Australia, Malaysia, Singapore. I'm a different person.
Right.
I can't help but be different.
Yeah.
Because of all that I've been exposed to.
Yeah.
And all the people that I've been exposed to. If you can be exposed to that many types of people and not change,
yeah,
something's wrong.